Welcome everyone to the Bainbridge Island Senior Center. This is our Senior Living 101 series that we're doing. My name is Katie Auger. I'm the Community Resource Navigator with the Senior Center. I am available to talk resources and go over any information that we learned throughout the series and get you connected. So feel free to contact the Senior Center at any time. I would like to introduce Lois Jasmer from Brookdale Senior Living, and Lois was actually the one who came up with this wonderful series and ideas. So thank you, Lois, so much for helping put this all together. I'm going to pass the mic over to you, and I'll let you introduce our guests for today.
Okay, great. So thanks for coming, and hopefully we'll have a few more pop on as we go. I know we did last week. So today what we are doing is we're going to do a little comparison and learn a little bit about memory care and adult family homes, and hopefully a little bit of what the differences are and who they serve. So my guests today are Candy Lee, and she is with Fieldstone. That is a new community going in on Bainbridge Island, and Marti Bailey, who runs and owns and operates Bailey Manor on Bainbridge Island, which is the adult family home. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to let them each speak a bit about what I think we'll do is we'll just speak a little bit about what your place is briefly, and then we'll start comparing the two maybe a little bit along the way. And a lot of it may be, similar people that they are both able to serve. So I want to start with, I think I'll start with Candy today and let you speak a little bit about basically memory care and what that is. Maybe compare it a little bit to assisted living, just so we know like who goes which place, okay? And then we'll go over to Marti. Okay, so go ahead, Candy.
Okay, hi. So typically when I talk about memory care, what I think of is when the resident is not able to stay at a regular assisted living or an adult family home any longer because they're not able to keep them safe. And when I say the word safe, it's not that they don't have enough care to keep them safe. It means that maybe they might be roaming, starting to wander, stepping outside of the doors and not being able to get back home. And that would apply also to a regular assisted living. They're just not equipped to keep them safe and secure. So memory cares they are generally a locked, secured setting. And that includes even outdoors. There's an outdoor section in every memory care that is secured also. The other thought process I have, and please hop in, Lois, if you want to ask me questions. Okay.
Don't you worry.
Okay. So the other thought I had with it is that sometimes in memory care, we do have behaviors that go along with those cognizant issues. And a smaller setting such as adult family home or even a regular assisted living, a lot of times in a regular assisted living, you do have residents with some dementia or some Alzheimer's. However, they're not exhibiting those behaviors and things that would cause them to be a disruption to that community. So we are geared toward working through those behaviors and working with those residents. A community generally does have a little more, it has extra eyeballs, extra people there to help out when those behaviors arise. And then they aren't as big of a deal because it's kind of a norm in a memory care to have some of those behaviors. So our caregivers are trained specifically toward those kinds of things, helping to calm the residents, being able to sit down and just spend one-to-one time. We have those activities directors, those kinds of people. Even I sit with the residents and visit and calm the situations down if we have to. That's kind of what I think of when I go toward the differences between adult family home and a community. I know that not every resident is a good fit for a memory care, a bigger memory care. Sometimes you do need those smaller adult family home situations because sometimes you can add to the chaos that is going on with them. But generally, in general, that's when I think it's time for them to move to a memory care out of an assisted living or adult family home. And it really just comes down to when they cannot keep them safe anymore, provide enough care that they feel safe, if that makes sense too. Is that, yeah.
Can anyone live in a memory care community? So let's say you have a husband and wife, and the wife has dementia and the husband really doesn't. Is that something that you can,
Yes.
Is that something a memory care can do or not?
Yes, so absolutely. We've had that many times. So you can have one resident who does not have cognizant issues and one that does. They just have the resident who is clear-minded just has to have all the, the codes to the doors and be able to come and go as they please. So yes, that's a good question. Yep, they sure can.
Okay. What about those people that have a spouse at home and they're trying to decide, they're like, when is it time to move my wife or my husband?
Sure.
There's a lot of guilt I know involved in this whole decision when it comes to memory care. What would you say? What's the optimum time to move them, and what's maybe beyond that?
So I always say it's kind of the same. When you start to not be able to keep that person, your loved one, safe, when you're so wore down that you can't even keep yourself safe anymore, you have to be able to take care of yourself so that your loved one's being taken care of. So that's always my rule of thumb. Usually what happens, agreed, there is so much guilt that goes on with that, is it usually ends up being some kind of a crisis a lot of times. And they call and say, I just can't do this anymore. I just need some help. And there definitely is a denial. No one wants to say my mom or dad or my spouse has, Alzheimer's or dementia and needs more care than I can provide. And so I think that is really hard. And that's where we come into play, in the fact that we're not just working with and treating the resident, but we are working with the family. So it's a whole family that we're working with and treating and loving. And I know that none of us would be, Marti included, I'm sure, would be doing this if we didn't love our residents, because memory care can be very tricky and and kind of hard sometimes. Yeah.
So in general, for most memory cares, what kind of care is pretty normal care for a memory care to be doing? Like how much care can they do, as far as, like, can they feed them? Can they?
Yeah. So I typically come from memory cares that run the gamut. So we have very high functioning to totally dependent upon us. We take very heavy care at our communities that I've been with. I know some memory cares are not equipped for that, and they don't do that. However, the memory cares that I have worked with, that's what we do. We do Hoyer lifts. Yes, we will feed them. We will do anything that they need to have done. We try to keep, because we become their home and we become part of their family. We try to keep them, even if they'd had to go out to a doctor, and stay in the hospital for a short period of time. We try to be able to bring them back home, because we really do become their home. And so we don't want to have to not allow them to come back. So that's why we do the heavy care that we do.
Right.
However, like I said, we do all the way from high functioning clear down to depend upon us.
So if somebody's looking for memory care, because they do, I think, all vary a little bit out there,
Sure.
Depending on the size of the memory care.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a place that, like, the state has that you can go to, to look that up, or see where they've fallen during surveys, that kind of things that are done on them?
So there is a site you can go to and look at the surveys. I don't know as far as the care, looking to see, if if Brookdale or whoever does heavy care, who doesn't, I don't know the answer to that. I can sure find that out. But yes, you can go to the DSHS website and look
Yeah.
up the surveys. You are correct about that.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I think all the stuff is on there, what they
It
can
is.
and do.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What about cost? What's the average? Is there an average? Is there a range you can give us for cost for memory cares?
You know, I should have looked that up. I do know that
I think most are fairly similar to you guys.
we're pretty comparable. Everywhere seems in Kitsap County for a private pay memory care is pretty comparable to one another. I can't speak about the memory cares with the Medicaid beds, but yes.
Right. So I'm going to say they probably range from 6,000 to 12,000 a month.
Yes.
For care, depending on what kind of care is needed.
Yep.
And the other thing I guess would be is that I think some nobody, I don't think in the county, I'm not sure, does Medicaid beds straight in Medicaid, but I think there's spend down differences where some places will have a 2-year spend down, some places will have a 5-year spend down, some places won't take Medicaid at all. So there's options out there, right?
Agreed. Yes, that's correct on all of that.
Okay. So Marti, I'm going to pull you in a little bit here. And I'm gonna let you talk, but I do want to, you'll probably clarify this, but I think there's some misnomers out there about adult family homes and what they can and can't do. I know I worked with a lot of them when I was a senior advisor over in Seattle. And so you go ahead and talk a little, and I'll kind of throw some questions or some stuff in that I think people maybe don't know or don't understand about adult family homes.
Sure. So we are also regulated by DSHS, and for adult family homes in Washington State, we can have up to 6 residents. That actually has changed. There's now rules out there where you can have 8. There's some more specifications that you have to have, sprinkler systems, more staff, that kind of thing. So there's that, but we only have 6. Adult family homes have both Medicaid and private beds. We have dropped our contract for Medicaid because we couldn't sustain the business. One thing about adult family homes is that back when Governor Christine Gregoire was governor, she made it so that the elderly people have a right to live wherever they want. And therefore, adult family homes can also be wherever you want to have them. There's been some legislation with communities who have HOAs, that kind of thing. But in general, there's been lots of fights with that. We had to kind of do that ourselves. But people have a right to live where they want to live, close to town, not in the pasture, that kind of thing. So with us, the typical resident could have dementia or Alzheimer's, could have Parkinson's. We've had a lot of Parkinson's, stroke patients, respite care, people who maybe are just rehabbing from a stroke or some kind of an ailment, and they actually leave after, a while. Those are our typical types. And we also have people who are just, they've aged, they can't do their activities of daily living anymore. They need help with meals, cooking, medication management, bathing, incontinency, that kind of thing. But we, we can take diabetic residents, incontinency, ambulatory issues, and we too, we will take care of people from when they come to us through all the way to the end of life through hospice.
Right. Are some adult family homes, not all family homes are run by nurses, but some are, some aren't, and that would affect what you can and can't do, I assume?
So what we have is nurse delegation. I'm not a nurse, I'm a CNA. So we have a contract nurse who's on the island, and what they have done is they set up a thing called nurse delegation. So if someone needs, let's say they have a pain patch, this is a really easy one, a pain patch that goes behind on their back, but the resident can't put it on themselves. They can't reach back there. So that's an RN type of treatment. And so the RN will do the paperwork and say, okay, these 6 aids know how to put that patch on and how to, manage it. And she signs off on it. And every 90 days, those things are in reviews. She has to review it. So it could be catheter care. It could be, I'm trying to think, not oxygen, but there's all kinds of things, that tasks that are related, that and we are very much overseen by our RN.
So maybe like wound care, feeding
Yes.
tube, things like that. Okay.
Yes.
And then the other thing is, I do believe some places can do 2-person transfers and Hoyer lifts as well. Is that correct?
We have that. Yes, definitely. Hoyer lift. Now with people with dementia, or even just other people, they don't always like that Hoyer lift. so it becomes a 2-person transfer as well. We just work with the person and what their needs are.
Right. And so I'd say anybody looking for an adult family home, just as anywhere else, you kind of need to make sure you know what your care needs are, that you can articulate to the memory care or to the adult family home or to the assisted living, so that they know if they can, truly assist you with what you need, or you might have to go to a different one, because I know like memory cares and assisted livings and adult family homes, everybody seems to have different levels of care that they can actually take, depending on maybe just depending on their staffing, if nothing else.
Absolutely. And also, I believe it's true with the bigger facilities, but we have to have a nurse's assessment before they can move in.
Right.
And that will really help with what the care needs are.
Right. And here's another thing is, what I see a lot is people that are fall risks. And what I would say for most memory cares, but not necessarily yours, Candy, is that sometimes adult family home is a better option for a fall risk, because you've got more eyes on. They can put cameras, or not cameras, but they can put different bells and whistles in the room, where like my memory care, I can't. But Candy, if you could speak to that just for a second, you guys have technology where you can do something.
So I'm really excited because I'm coming from a community that didn't have this. So I am really excited about this, because I think it's going to help, even if it doesn't prevent the fall, because we know preventing the fall can be really tricky, no matter what kind of community you're in. But it is called Stanley Fortnight, and I need to get more information on it. However, it's called Stanley Fortnight. You can Google it, look it up. And what it is in the room, and it is infrared. So it just shows the outline of your body. But sometimes they have falls in the night, or a fall even in the day, and they can't communicate to you what happened, or if they bumped their head, or and this goes directly into the nurse's station, into a computer system. You look at it, you can say, oh my goodness, Mrs. Smith got her foot wrapped around the blanket, on the corner of the bed, and that's how she fell. And oh, she didn't bump her head, thank goodness, kind of thing, right? Also, I understand that it has even helped, figure out if there's a urinary tract infection going on, because if they're getting up in the middle of the night and they're going to the bathroom constantly. The other nice thing I think it will be too is that family members will be able to view that. To see, oh my goodness, my mom was, a lot of times they come in and say, well, I don't know what's going on with my mom or dad today. They're kind of fussy and grumpy, and they're not able to articulate that. Well, you know what? They didn't sleep very good last night. So I'm really excited about that technology. Yeah.
And so again, that's something that's infrared. So they're not seeing them actually seeing them, because it's a HIPAA violation, but they can do that. And then one of the things I wanted to ask too for Marti was cost-wise. I know for adult family homes, it's a little bit different on paying, I think, than like going into assisted living or memory care. Is, do you give like a set amount that it's going to be per month, and everything is going to be included in that? There's not a lot of extra little things here and there like we all do. We have rent and then we have care, but I think you have it all bundled.
So I think every adult family home is different in that respect. I personally don't want to count every glove or every time I pick up a resident off the floor or take them to the dining room. So we are a one-stop shop, and it also includes the nurse delegation, it includes foot care and beauty. So because we have people coming in, the only thing that for me, for my home, is extra is we do have the resident pay for briefs, and then they pay for the nurses assessments, and then Anytime we have to take a person to a doctor because the family can't, then there's a fee for that per hour.
Mhm. Are there very many adult family homes around Kitsap County?
There are from Silverdale on towards Bremerton and Port Orchard. But
Okay.
I don't
North
believe there's
Kitsap,
any, yeah, I think I'm the only one in Paulsbo, Bainbridge, and Kingston and Hansville.
Okay. What about, now I know with assisted living and memory cares, we all have staff all night long. They're up in the building doing their thing. How do adult family homes do night care? Do they always have awake staff? Is it sometimes not?
We are always, we're 24/7 awake care. So we only have one person on at night. We haven't had to have two very often, depending on, it's always dependent on the mix of people we have and their needs. But most of the time it's just one person, and that caregiver does a lot of things, because for us at nighttime, oftentimes it's doing toileting based on their plan, their care plans.
Sure.
Helping with confusion when they get up at night, or maybe someone just like people with Parkinson's, they just need to eat because they're going through, they're metabolizing everything. So
Sure.
they just need a snack and someone to talk to or whatever it is. So we have that, but that person is also in charge of cooking dinner for the next day, getting breakfast ready, doing some cleaning and laundry. So it's kind of a, you know.
Yeah. So I think for people, if you are considering adult family home, that is a really good question to ask though, because although Marti's has awake staff at night, not all adult family homes have awake staff at night. And I think that's an important question when you're talking to people and looking for adult family homes, to make sure you know if that, and it's not necessarily a bad thing that they're sleeping. They usually have an alarm, but if your person is somebody that's up at night, you want an adult family home that has awake staff at night, right? And how do meals work in an adult family home? Because like we all have menus, Candy, they would have us basically set menus, you know, changing them up and all that. But how does an adult family home do their menus?
Well, the first thing is I have never been able to get a menu system to work. And I used to do that all the time in my past life, working in a retirement home and a nursing home, but that just does not work. We find that allowing our residents to wake up when they want, they don't have to be at breakfast at a certain time. Now, if they're still sleeping at 10 o'clock, we bug them. but some people don't want to eat breakfast, and we really try to cater to that. What do they want? The second thing is, so the night person usually has a few people, if not all, up before he leaves. We have two night guys before he leaves, and so he's got breakfast going, and they both kind of have their own routine, but we try to cater for all the meals. We know that, you know, Joe likes oatmeal every day with raisins in it, and we know that someone else really likes eggs, so we pretty much cater to that.
That's great.
And when they wake up at different times, they may have breakfast at different times, but then the lunch might be onesie twosie, but by dinner time, they are all usually sitting together. And we try to cater to like a family recipe. I did that for Thanksgiving one time. You know, you do someone had a special oyster stuffing that I made.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. So
Candy, do you have anything you want to throw in? And then I'm going to see if there's any questions before I move on to closing down.
Sure, just really quick, I should have said that I also come from day stay programs. We always have a day stay program and a respite program, as long as we have enough room for everybody. But other than that, no, I think that's really it. We try to cater to our people too and take the best care of them that we can, just like everybody else. So yeah, no, that's it.
Okay, great. So, hey, Katie, were there any questions, or do any of you that I see on the screen have any questions out there?
I haven't had anyone chat in questions, and if that's something you'd prefer to do, there's a little chat box at the bottom, usually the center of the screen. You're welcome to type in there. Otherwise, you can raise your hand or go ahead and unmute yourself if you want to jump in with a question or comment. We'll give folks just a second here.
Are any of the folks on screen that are visiting us here today, are any of you dealing with somebody with dementia? Just put your hand up. I'm not going to come looking for you, but I'm wondering if anybody's dealing. Okay. Yeah. That's a big thing. I got to tell you, there's a lot of it out there and you're not alone. So just know that the people that you're meeting on these calls, we know, we work with a lot of people. We know there's a lot of struggle involved in it. And I'm sure, and Katie can connect you to us, but I'm sure any of us would be glad to talk to you, not sell you on anything, but if you needed to just talk, just reach out, okay? So I want to thank, first of all, Marty and Candy. Oh, we got a question.
Yep. Quick question, and that is, does Medicare have any, does it cover anything in the home care facility?
Oh, we
No,
don't have-
so Medicare will not cover, what, is that right?
Correct.
Adult family home, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I meant to ask, the adult
Yeah.
family. No.
Unfortunately, really, just so you all know, Medicare is really only going to help you with the rehab or your medical things that are happening either at the doctor, the hospital, or at the rehab. When you come to these long-term care places like we're talking about, your Medicare is not going to be covering the cost of living there. It's a whole different ball of wax. And that's why it's very important to look at what your finances are and how long you can pay privately somewhere. If you've got endless money, then you should go somewhere where, you know, it doesn't matter how, if you know, you're never going to run out of money. But if you don't, what you don't want to do is spend all of your money either on in-home care or in a place that doesn't take Medicaid eventually, because then you're going to end up with nothing, and going straight into Medicaid is very difficult, especially in this county. You're probably going to end up in Seattle or Tacoma or Port Angeles or somewhere like that. So it's important to look at that.
Thank you.
You bet. So I want to thank Marty and Candy. And if you want to reach out to any of us, Katie will connect you to us.
But in regards to Medicare and Medicaid and understanding those benefits and paying for long-term care, again, feel free to reach out to me and we can make sure that we get you some resources and get you connected to people who can explore those topics with you one-on-one.